I'm Cal Adams, and my pronouns are he and him. And I'm going to be leading the service today. The UU Fellowship of the Emerald Coast is a religious community united by UU principles and committed to service, spiritual growth, and caring fellowship. If you're visiting today, you'll find more information about us on the back of your order of service, on our website, and on our Facebook page. Please fill out a visitor card at the table by the front so we can connect with you and send you information about important upcoming events. You've discovered a community of friendly and fallible humans who welcome you here. All of us were visitors and strangers once. We found friends and opportunities for spiritual growth and justice work in the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We treasure the warmth and empowerment created here. Excuse me. Lost my place. During this Native American Heritage Month and every week, we gather on the unceded lands of the Muskogee Nation of Florida. We honor the land and those who no longer live here and support those who have returned. Just a few announcements. Thanksgiving dinner will be here at noon on Thanksgiving, and we will be having a joint Thanksgiving dinner with PFLAG. So it feels like the two sides of my family get to, get together and have a little chin wag and some food. It's potluck, so please bring something if you can and come and enjoy. And we'll just be here and have a good time and have some fellowship. Bring whoever you want. Anyone who needs a place to be that day. On December 1st, we're going to be having a special meeting to vote on our 2025 Board of Trustees, as well to give you an update on the ministerial search. I know some people are very excited to hear about that stuff, and also just general updates. Newcomers. If you have recently begun attending and are interested in learning about the UU or possibly becoming a member, join Jane and Steve on December 15th for the first of 2 new UU classes. Previously, this has been called like UU 101. It's really fun. You should go. Even if you've been here for a while, it's just fun to go and learn about the UU. It's a nice little history lesson. Please join us for refreshments after the service and explore our second hour activities, which are also noted in your order of service. Today's second hours are the speaker circle with Shar today, right up here in front, and then who to help and why in the library with me. And the other one is not going to happen because the leader is not here today. He is not well. So that's it. Let's see. The second hour group ends at 12:15. All are welcome. Our Shared the Plate partner for November is Healing Paws for Warriors, who had we had the extreme pleasure of having them here earlier this month to tell us all about what they do. And please be generous when we're taking up the offering, because they do a lot of wonderful work in our community. Let's see. The prelude prepares us for the service. Yeshua will come and light the chalice for us today. All right. Thank you so much. To face the world's shadows, a chalice of light. To face the world's terrors, a chalice of courage. To face the world's turmoil, a chalice of peace. May its glow fill our spirits, our hearts, and our lives. Our opening words today are Blessings of Gratitude, Celebration, and Support by Gwen Matthews. First, a quote. There are two things that people crave: the full realization of their innate gifts and to have those gifts approved, acknowledged, and confirmed. Malidoma Som. Today, we are thankful for you and what you bring to our church. Your spirit, talents, generosity, imagination, and dedication reaffirm our fellowship and create our beloved community. Our heartfelt thanks to you on this day and for all days to come. For those who embrace Thanksgiving as a day to honor the gifts of family, friendship, abundance, security, we celebrate with you and join voices to hold aloft all sacred blessings. For those who hold Thanksgiving as a day of sadness, who mourn the hurt and loss of Native peoples, who are lonely, who grieve the loss of those who they hold dear and beloved, we hold your heartache and sorrow so you do not have to carry the burden alone. Blessings be upon you. Now we're going to do time for all ages. Sarah and Holly are both not here today, so I'm going to fill in. So everybody, all the youngins, come on down and sit in a circle with me. All right. Come on, we're going to sit in like a half circle kind of thing down here, if you don't mind. Okay. Hi. Hey. Hey, I like your hair. Looks good. Okay. So what we're going to do is called a gratitude circle. It's a little activity. And I want everybody to go around and tell either one thing that they're thankful for, or one person that they're thankful for, or one action that they're thankful for. So one person, one thing, or one action. Can be any of those things. Charles, you want to start? Yeah, absolutely. I want to hear what you're grateful for. Let's hear it. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, go ahead, Yeshua. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I'm thankful for my cats. I am thankful for books. I don't know. I'm thankful for I don't know.
That's okay. Thanks, Yeshua. You know what? I am thankful for all of you. I am thankful for my found family.
There's a few people I'm thankful for. Can I just say all of them? So, first two people is my two best friends, Rain and Daniel. Daniel's been with me my whole life, been with me through all the rough times. Rain has been with me for 3 years, but still, she also has been here through the rough times and everything. I'm thankful for being here, to meeting everyone here. It's been just so welcoming and everything. And I'm just thankful that everyone's here and everything.
I'm thankful for books, and I'm thankful that there's medication for sickness because I don't like flu.
I'm thankful for books, my family.
I'm thankful for my best friend and books. Books are awesome, y'all. And I do read books actually. It's okay, guys. I'm thankful for Geraldine. And yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much. The sharing of joys and concerns, milestones, is a tradition in our fellowship. You are welcome to come up, drop a glass pebble into the water silently, or while speaking a few words into the microphone. This practice shares our joys and helps us support each other in sorrows. Remember to tell about others only with their permission. This is a sacred time. This past week was Transgender Awareness Week, which ended with Trans Day of Remembrance on November 20th. We have Trans Day of Visibility in the springtime to celebrate the living. And in the fall, we commemorate those who are no longer with us. We use this time to remember why we must act intentionally to make this world a safe place for all, regardless of their gender, sex assigned at birth, or gender presentation. We renew our commitment to bring about the world our children deserve to live in. I invite you to sit quietly for a brief moment to think about loved ones who might not align to the gender they were assigned with at birth, and how you might be able to show solidarity with the trans community. For my part, I honor my dead friend, Ellis. I hope he rests in peace. Thank you. After our song of dedication, greeters will take the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice. Our fellowship is supported by our pledges and donations. If you're paying your pledge with a check today, please make sure to note the memo, note that in the memo line. We split equally all cash donations and checks not marked as pledges with Healing Paws for Warriors, who work with veterans to help get them service animals. They do a lot of training. They do a lot of wonderful therapy work. So please do give if you can.
Offertory music this morning is called Take Up the Song, and we would like everyone to join in on the refrain. So let me tell you the words first so you'll have half a chance. It actually begins with a refrain too, which is a little unusual. So I'm going to say a line and then you say it. It starts, take up the song, carry it on, till all the world joins in to sing along. Take up the song, and let the music ring. Take up the song, let your life sing. I know you can't remember all that, but when it goes by, you'll recognize it, and you'll get several chances to do it. Here we go. Take up the song and let the music ring.
Thank you, choir singers. Our speaker today is Shar Farley, who is a member of this congregation. Shar will be reading a sermon by UUA minister Erica Barron entitled Receiving Generously.
Well, as Cal said, today I'll be delivering a sermon that was written by Erica Barron, who is a congregational consultant for the UUA New England region. Her job is to help UU congregations. No, I'm having a little problem with my glasses. Bear with me. Yes, I think this is better. Okay. Erica Barron's job is to help UU congregations in New England when they have questions or struggles, when the wider context beyond the congregation is helpful, or when an outside person is needed to hold something. There are 5 in this group who do their job in New England and are our companions in this joyous and difficult parts of congregational life. She and her colleagues have developed a way of understanding the purpose of congregational life and the practices that can help us lean into this purpose. She calls this model spiritual leadership. Spiritual leadership is our UU term for a way of living that is rooted in your values, giving what is deeply informed, what is yours to give to the world, and joining with others to create communities of love and liberation. Spiritual leadership is not only for identified leaders. Everyone can develop their own spiritual leadership. And since every person is unique, spiritual leadership looks different in each individual person. But we can recognize it through a commitment to living our values and offering what we can to the community. At the region, Mrs. Barron and her colleagues believe that the purpose of congregational life at its core is to support everyone in the congregation to find and develop their spiritual leadership while creating communities of love and liberation for all. They have identified 5 practices that congregations can do in order to fulfill this purpose. They are coveting, tending our tradition, doing our inner work, faithful risking, and centering in gifts. I'm going to continue now in Mrs. Barron's words. I want to talk about the practice of centering in gifts. Our team's understanding of this practice has been deeply informed by Malidoma Some, who was an elder of the Dagara people of Burkina Faso in West Africa, who understood his mission to be bringing this wisdom to the world. My colleague, Mac Groot, has studied with him extensively, and she has brought his understanding of gifts to us. Malidoma Some is also the person who wrote the quote in today's opening words. Here's a little bit more from that writing. Whether they are raised in indigenous or modern culture, there are 2 things that people crave the full realization of their innate gifts and to have these gifts approved, acknowledged, and confirmed. There are countless of people in the West whose efforts are sadly wasted because they have no means of expressing their unique gifts. In the psychics of these people, there is an inner power and authority that fails to shine because the world around them cannot perceive it. Now, when we say gifts, that needs a little more explanation because we live in a context that is really focused on productivity and marketing skills. So lots of us have learned all kinds of skills and techniques that we use in our work lives, our congregational lives, our families, everywhere we go. There are lots of very helpful skills and teaching for all kinds of tasks and situations, and having a good number of them available to you can be really helpful. I'm all about skills myself, but gifts are something different. Notice that Malidoma Some calls them innate gifts. You are born with them. They're part of your nature. Oh, you can develop them and hone them for sure, but you don't have to learn them at a basic level because they're part of you. I think of gifts, of the things that shine out of us, the things that we can't not do in a joyful way, like the person whose attention is always drawn to babies and small children, and who interacts with them with such delight and openness that the children love them back. Or the person who is so in love with earth and soil that their garden is always overflowing. Or the person who can see a jumble of anything, clothes, files, images, and does not find and makes of them a beautiful order, and doesn't find the task onerous, but rather enjoys the challenge and finds deep satisfaction in its completion. Malidoma Some goes so far as to call this our unique genius. Did you know that you're a genius? We're not taught to think that way about, about ourselves in our culture. Genius is something a very few, very smart, very accomplished people have. The rest of us, well, we're just ordinary. Not special, just ordinary. Even people who were labeled as gifted as children can feel the weight of imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm not actually special or gifted. Sometimes they'll notice that I'm just ordinary. But Malidoma Some tells us that we all have a unique genius. So, you are a genius. You just have to find the thing that makes you a genius. How do you know what your gifts are? How do you identify your unique genius? Well, sometimes we just know, but often we need others to help us discover our gifts. Now, this seems strange if a gift is something so core to our being that we can't not do it. But that's precisely why it can be difficult sometimes to discern our own gifts. Because gifts come so naturally to us that we may think, oh, well, that can't be a gift. It's no big deal. Anyone could do that. As it turns out, that is often not true. And that that others naturally that gifts that are natural to you, others have to struggle to do. Some gifts are big and showy and hard to miss. I think, for example, of people with a gift for performing. That usually becomes obvious at some point. Or the people with a gift for greeting and welcoming others. You probably met them because they have a gift for meeting you. Other gifts are quieter and subtler. The gift of sitting with someone who is sad or lonely without trying to fix it. The gift of just being there. The gift of creating a physical space that feels calm and beautiful. The gift of asking the key question. The gift of saying the one sentence at the end of an hour-long conversation that sums up the heart of what has been said. These gifts take a little more careful observation to notice. As Malidoma Somé says, one of the things we long for is to have our gifts acknowledged, confirmed, and approved. Part of centering in gifts as a community is to notice each other's gifts and then acknowledge them, to help each other feel deeply seen as people with something to offer, as people who embody our own unique version of spiritual leadership. In the first few months of my time on the regional staff, I met with a colleague, Joe Sullivan, to a leadership retreat in one of our congregations. Joe led the board members, committee on ministry members, and the minister in an exercise of noticing each other's gifts. We went around the circle, and for each person, Joe invited others in the room to speak about that person's gifts. And they did. They mentioned things like a sense of humor, the insight to find out and ask the key question, a willingness to speak a minority opinion with courage and without bitterness. Each person who spoke about a gift did it with deep appreciation. I could feel the joy and great gratitude in the room. When we were done, there was a lightness and a closeness in the group that hadn't been there before. This is one way of centering our gifts in a congregation. But it was one exercise in one day of a retreat. I've done the exercise a bunch of times since I learned it from Joe, and almost always there is the same joy, excitement, lightness, and closeness. And often this takes far longer than I had planned. I think this is because, as Malidoma Somé says, this is something we crave, not only to have our own gifts seen and confirmed, but also to see and confirm the gifts of others. In fact, I've noticed that people tend to get at least as much joy from telling someone else about their gifts as from having their own gifts confirmed. It feels good to appreciate each other in this way. And it's such a rare thing. So when we get the opportunity, we want to revel in it. As Unitarian Universalist, one of our principles is to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The practice of noticing and naming each other's gifts is one way to practice this principle. This is one of the ways of noticing the full humanity of others and of promoting everyone's ability to claim and live into their worth and dignity. Right now, I invite you to think of someone who has a gift that has been important to you. What have you seen someone doing with joy and love? What has someone offered to you that has been moving or helpful or supportive or inspiring? Take a moment to say thank you in your heart for his gift. And if you have never told this person the gift that you have received from them and what it has meant to you, I invite you to consider doing that. Now, this idea might seem totally awkward. It's strange to me how rarely we tell each other what we appreciate about each other, what we mean to each other. But it is rare, and so it is awkward. It's something that many of us lack practice in. But if you do it anyway, it's usually appreciated. It's usually a way of spreading some joy. I invite you to imagine ways that this could become a more regular part of your life as a congregation. Maybe you want to try this exercise of naming gifts on a committee that you're on, or in a small group you belong to. If doing it at all at once feels overwhelming, well, maybe you can take turns lifting up the gifts of one person each meeting until you've celebrated everyone. Maybe you want to lean into this even more. Maybe those of you who have the gift for taking the conversational lead could make it a point to start telling people the gifts that you notice them bringing. If you did that enough, maybe it would be less awkward for others to follow your lead. I called this sermon Receiving Generously because we usually think about giving generously. I know that many of you give very generously of your gifts and your skills and your other resources to the congregation. This is also an important spiritual practice. But we think less often about what it means to receive generously. A gift has meaning when it is received and appreciated. That's as true for this gifts of our being as for more concrete gifts. Since we crave having our gifts seen, acknowledged, and confirmed, it's an act of generosity to each other to receive each other's gifts. Part of that is noticing each other's gifts and speaking them aloud as we have been discussing. But there's another layer to the practice of centering in gifts. Malidoma Somé says that there are countless people in the West whose efforts are sadly wasted because they have no means of expressing their unique genius. Some of us are lucky enough to have ways to offer our gifts to other aspects of our lives beyond the congregation, in our families or our jobs or other groups that we belong to. But some of us don't. Some of us don't have another way to offer our gifts at all. And some of us only a little bit or occasionally. So as a community, part of receiving each other generously means offering each person a way to express their unique gifts and their unique genius. Sometimes this requires creating new avenues to offer gifts in the community that haven't existed yet. This is how we help each other grow in spiritual leadership, by giving the power in each of us a way to shine. Maybe you want to offer a way for people to request a conversation about their gifts. That might look like a group that would meet a few times to lift up the gifts they see in that person. They could then help the person think about where they are already expressing those gifts in the world and where they might do more if important gifts that have no expression right now. This could be a way to figure out how the congregation can provide a way to express those gifts. You are a genius. Right now, without having to do anything, you are already carrying gifts for your community and for the world. Turn your attention inside. Can you notice your own gifts? Every person around you in this room is a genius. They are all carrying precious gifts for your community and for the world. Can you notice the gifts of another person in the room? If not right now, can you be prepared to be on the lookout? Can you make it a practice to seek the gifts of others? You are all geniuses, and together you can create a community that notices gifts and celebrates them and gives them ways to be expressed. I invite you to give it a try. So be it.
Thank you so much, Shar. That was a wonderful, wonderful message. I'm going to take a brief moment to call out one particular individual whose gifts that I have that I have noticed a lot, and who we will actually be seeing next week. Will be coming here to talk to us, David Simmons, who is the president of PFLAG. I am continuously inspired by his just fantastic attitude and Energizer Bunny, just light shining out of his being. It's ridiculous. I love him so much, and I'm so happy that we'll be able to share him with you as well. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts of souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place, and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. November is a busy month. There seems to be an ever-revolving carousel of social events that seem to follow this time of year. There's Thanksgiving and Native American History Month. You can visit the several powwows that are in the area to, help celebrate that. There's one going on. The last day of it is today over in Milton, if anybody wants to add another thing to their schedule. It's until 4. So, let's see. And just last week, or not, was it just 2 weeks ago? I don't know, time is a flat circle. We had Kirby Locklear from the Lumbee tribe come and speak to us here and share his wonderful gifts and stories and songs. And then there is, of course, Trans Day of Remembrance, the election, which we are all coming to terms with in our own way and planning for what comes next. There are plays and weddings and celebrations of life, coping with the darkness coming sooner and sooner as we hurtle towards the winter solstice, when we finally get a little bit more light. The list goes on and on. All of this busyness can bring a lot of stress and anxiety. But please just do me a really big favor. Do a shrimp check. If you've never heard of that, when we get stressed and anxious, our bodies kind of turn into a shrimp, you know? So if you feel shrimpy, take your shoulders and put them back. There you go. And everybody breathe deep. We're all breathing, you know. Good job. But breathe deeply sometimes, you know. Drink your water. Get plenty of sleep. You know, it's funny because I wrote these words several days ago now, and I am running on like 0 sleep today. So note to self, and just be good to each other and yourselves any way that you can right now. Fortify your hearts at this wonderful liminal time. Please stay seated for the postlude.
We also invite you to join us in singing the postlude. You'll need a teal hymnal, and it's number 1010. It's called We Give Thanks. 1010. Give you a minute to find it. If you don't see one near you, anybody need one? We sing the whole thing through twice. So here goes. Stand as if you like. Perfect. We give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here, and as far away, for this time we share with love and Every time I move my phone, it goes, whoa. The service is now concluded. Please do join us for refreshments in the back, and join us for second hour, either up here at the speaker circle with Shar or in the library with me.